2, 1. Mr. Dave Savage.
What's going on?
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you doing this, man.
It's good to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be good. And now, I when we were prepping for this, right before it, I commented, it's like, you're so good and so in high demand. Everyone's asked you like every question underneath the sun. So like, I'm.
I don't know about that. But again, we all need reminders. So talking about the same thing over and over doesn't hurt either.
No, I'm pumped about this. And real quick, guys, for the one or two of you that maybe possibly don't know who Dave is CEO and founder of Mortgage Coach. Really, though, he's an industry leader. I've suggested this 1,000 times. We'll probably talk about it a little bit later. You can get a flair for the kind of leader he is in our industry by checking out Mortgage Coach's YouTube page. The amount of content, interviews, dialogue Dave has had with leaders is amazing. You should probably check out, not to suggest tuning away from this to go listen to other podcasts, but I just watched a podcast between Dave and a gentleman named Eric Levin yesterday. It was called The Walk. They got into Dave's background. Dave, I didn't know you were as much of an outdoorsman as you are. Did you end up picking up golf, by the way? You were talking about doing that?
Yeah, I haven't met all my golf goals yet since then. But yeah, no, I'm a golfer and I am golfing more than ever, but still not where I plan to get.
Yeah. So go check it out, because Dave's story, background, he's been a producer, a leader of producers. He has started up technology firms and other industries in retail that used, if I heard correctly, Dave, it was like document recognition technology, and of course, Mortgage Coach. So Dave has done a ton, just an insane amount of information. Why I asked Dave to do this with me is in my previous live streams, we've talked about different areas within the mortgage sector and getting very granular, very niche. We've talked about how to achieve greater success in builder business and renovation and recruiting. This year, I really want to introduce to my network some of the best partner organizations that we have in our industry that are really aimed to help us be more successful and get into what they do, what their goal is, and how they can have an impact on your business. I couldn't think of anything or anyone better than to start with Dave and Mortgage Coach. So again, man, I appreciate this.
Well, I am looking forward to the conversation. I love how you think. I love how data driven you are, and I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. So getting into it, before we talk about what Mortgage Coach does and with any other system, I think it's important to understand the industry as it stands today. What top originators in our industry are thinking about what we should be expecting up ahead, because it's kind of like being a carpenter. Well, talk to me about what this tool is. Well, you better know what the project is that you're going to work on before you even worry about what the tool is. And so, Dave, I hear in the live streams and the podcast that I listen to, I hear you talk about the modern originator a lot, like, and you use it to describe the circle that you cruise in. Can you describe that? What do you mean by modern originator? What do originators need to be emulating, in today's business?
Well, I mean, I think there's some trends that aren't just trends in the mortgage business, but they're social trends that the industry needs to evolve to. And I would say I think the industry has evolved just massively. There was a time where I would always kind of joke like, "Oh, the mortgage industry, we're so far behind." And I make this argument that in the world of fintech now, the mortgage industry we're leaders. We're leading the advisors out there, the insurance business, the point of sale experience. But I think the tenets of modern are technology. And I think that's just rather obvious to everyone when the biggest companies in the world are technology companies, and we all live, with technology in our hands. We're like cyborgs now. So, I mean, I think that's obvious in everybody when they think of modern, they go, technology, and it's over. Yeah. I don't think that it's over. I think you got to look at media and video like this, you and I streaming. I don't know about you, but I get more news and things that I believe and that make me better from like Joe Rogan, podcasts, Jocko Willink, other people that you just know they're coming from, where they're coming from, where their values are, and you get educated. I get my news from those sources rather than mainstream media. So I think media, building personal brands, creating content that you believe in, and making your customers better. At the end of the day, my customer is a loan officer and a mortgage executive. And then my end customer is the family that they're serving. So I'm creating content for those folks. I think the loan officer and the modern originator needs to be the light, needs to create content to help families build wealth with real estate, and to help realtors learn how to help families build wealth with real estate. Like, realtors know how to do transactions and sell homes, but they don't necessarily know how to help families build wealth with real estate. So media, technology, and then to me, the third leg of the stool is leadership. A modern originator is a good leader. Not only does that mean leading a team, but that also means leading a family and leading a partner, leadership.
Now, and each of those subjects are hour-long conversations, which you're a busy guy, so we don't need to get into. But I want to get in a little bit deeper on that, because like you talked about adding value, and another thing that I've heard you say in previous conversations is, if it can be automated, it will be automated. And my experience is a lot of originators still feel like their core job function is, well, I'm going to review the pay stub and the W-2 or the tax returns, and I'm going to collect this documentation. That's a big part about my job. That is what I think is going to be automated in our business. And really, then what does the job become? And it has to be rooted in value. And what you were saying, where is as an originator thinking about how they can add value to consumers and add value to realtors? What do they need to be thinking about today for when this automation comes? You know what I mean? Like what kinds of values that maybe the non-modern originator, the old school traditional relationship-based originator that was spending a lot of time on paperwork, isn't necessarily thinking about today that they need to make sure that they stay relevant and gain market share as this industry progresses?
Well, first of all, it's happened. So, I mean, let's just call out two things that over the past 2 years have radically shifted. And I posted this on social media today. I don't know the exact stat, but I think B of A posted an article that I put on social media that said in 2019, I want to say 29 or 30 some odd % of their mortgages were digital. Yep. And in 2020, I think they said 68 or 69. Guys, I mean, and I ask you, if you're listening to this call, if you're a top producer, over 80%, possibly over 90% of your applications are digital. Where were they in 2019? Where were they in 2018? I mean, like, poof, the world has gone digital. So that's an example. And by the way, jobs have changed because of that. Like when I interviewed Jeremy Forcier today, and he talked about the amount of production, 500 loans that he did last year with pretty much the same team that he did 200 or 300 loans. A lot of that was driven from the efficiencies that we have today. So, loan assistants are doing a lot of the work of the processor. The processor's doing a lot of work of the underwriter. Like, so much of this can be done front end. So it's happened. Like, it's happened. And then another thing, Shane, when you schedule meetings with people, do you use a link, give people a link and then they schedule a meeting?
Bookings, Calendly. Yeah.
I mean, guys, I use links. I remember 2 years ago, that was a foreign concept. I remember the first time someone gave me a link to schedule a meeting, I was kind of pissed. Like,
too good to get my own.
Oh man, like, I'm doing your work for you now. Yeah. But then, like, a few months later, I'm like, that's a great idea. And now I'm annoyed if I have to schedule a meeting without a link. So it's happened. And so I think, for originators, you need to think about what can you do that will never be automated. And I think my interview today with Jeremy was just money. And it's listen, like that's something, and listen at a level, at a human. Ask a human a great question, listen for the answer, connect with them on a human level, and then take their problems and what their solutions are and give them advice. Yeah. Like, the machine is going to get better. Like, that's one of the things we were going to do at Mortgage Coach, is get better at helping loan officers optimized debt strategies with some, I don't know if it will be artificial intelligence or just expert systems, but expert systems helping humans. But at the end of the day, if you're listening to this, it's like, be a great listener, work on your emotional IQ, work on your listening skills, work on your leadership skills. And if you have an incredible emotional IQ, you have an incredible leadership skill, and you got to be hungry. You got to want to work. You got to want to win. And if you got those things, I think that the next decade belongs to the originators that have those things, who use technology.
Dan Hansen, who you probably know Dan. He's been in the industry. He's just a legend.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge Dan fan, and
such a stud.
He's a wizard.
So he the other day we were on a call and he was talking about it. He goes, you got to understand where we're at today relative to a year and a half ago. First off, over 50% of all purchase transactions are millennials. How many of them have bought a home before? Not very many of them. They are thinking of different lifelong goals than any generation that we've ever dealt with before. You now also have a changed environment with COVID. People used to think, okay, I've got my job, and you and I are up here in Portland. In Portland, I ain't moving. Like, this is it. This is where I'm at, and I don't, whatever. Well, now you have people that, well, my kids are in online school. I'm going to get out of this rain. I'm going to Arizona. I'm going to Vegas. And so what's happened is even the traditional ways that we would ask questions of our borrowers, they don't really cover enough. They don't fully suffice, because what the goals of our borrowers are completely different. Some of them are thinking of second homes now. And again, you got a new generation that isn't necessarily thinking of using their home in the same way. It creates an excellent opportunity for us to sharpen our skills. But then, as you said, listen, which is huge. And I want to talk about the leadership stool as well, because you mentioned that quite a bit. And I tend to agree with it. The thing that I think, and I've also heard you say, the 80-20 rule is kind of out the door, right? It's going 90-10. It could go 95-5 in terms of local originators. Right. My personal opinion is this COVID environment has created an opportunity for originators to build teams, almost emulate what realtors have done. And so now they've got more folks on their team than ever before, where a lot of originators, traditional, you get to 3 to 6 units a month, you do well, you make a good living, and it's explosive now. And so leadership of your team, your referral partners, becomes vital. But what is that process? Meaning, you don't go from 3 to 5 to Jeremy Forcier overnight, right? You know what I mean? Like he evolved to have his team of assistants and processors. What if you're a 5-unit, 6-unit, 7-unit, a month producer trying to continue to grow and be a Jeremy or be a Shant or what have you? What are your first steps? Like, how are you constructing your team in a logical fashion to make sure that you can continue to scale and continue to grow? Is it hiring a processing assistant, a business development assistant, a dialer? What is it?
Well, I think it depends on who you are, what you're good at. I mean, I always tell new loan officers, just, be the perfect you. You've got to have consistent processes. If you're not delivering a consistent experience to every family, then you don't have anything that you can scale around. And that is, I think, one of the biggest things that hold back, call it loan officers that don't have teams, or call it loan officers that have teams that are very chaotic and poorly run and not very efficient, is that they don't have, hey, this is the way we do things around here. I mean, I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, so I do believe, just like you need to give people a link to take an app, you need to give people a link to schedule a meeting, you need to give people a link to give them advice, you need to give them a link to get on Zoom. So, have consistent ways and platforms. I noticed you call them partners, but I really think we're like in this, the best partners are platforms. And, because they're able to integrate, and they're, and even if they just have a product, it integrates into other platforms and systems. Yeah. But be consistent. So individual loan officer, be consistent. I mean, when I interview the best, usually when you look at the number of loans they're closing per team member, 7 to 8, maybe 6 loans. So, I mean, there's some consistent formulas. I think if I was managing someone, I'd want to, before I really said, if I was a branch manager and I was going to approve someone getting an assistant, making sure they've got consistent ways and that they're doing 8-ish or more transactions a month. And then, but I think, a loan production partner, LP1,
Okay.
is usually the right first hire. But dialers are great. If your biggest pain, like let's say, like I'm a high DI, so I want to be on the phone talking, selling, creating. But maybe if you're not a high DI and you're a high S&C, you get dialers on the front end.
Yeah.
I do think most top performing team leaders are high DIs on a DISC score. So usually bring in the production partner is the way to scale.
Okay. Yeah. And the third chair you said, or third leg of the chair you said, is media and brand.
Media. Yeah.
Yeah. And I look at the mortgage coach folks that I know, and they are some of the best national brands in the country, right? You got Sean up in the Northeast. You got Gaylord Hanson here at Loan Depot that you guys work with. I mean, they've got a media group. Ryan Hills up in Washington, not too far from us. Like, I mean, he's got his entire thing going with his podcast and program. Is that the angle when you say, like, because, and I say that because that's a big investment, right? Gaylord Hanson, I think they have a couple videographers on their team. If I'm the Burgundy, how do I compete, right?
Well, time out, because there's different ways of doing it. I mean, I'm going to throw some other names in there. You've got Kelly Zitlow out of Scottsdale, Arizona. You've got Denise Donahue, the mortgage nerd out of Dallas, Texas. Yeah. You've got Dan Keller. And so first of all, I just interviewed a first-year loan officer, Alec Cook. I can't remember. He's close to Notre Dame. I can't remember what he called it, but he's like Midwest. Okay. And literally he did 20 loans his 6 month in the business. And when I interviewed him, by the way, I just posted it because he helped a single mom with a debt consol refi that changed her life. And then he picked up his phone. I think he had a tripod. I'm not sure. He may have just, he may have held his phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
He did a rant. Now he's an eloquent speaker. I mean, it was, you liked him, you trusted him.
Authentic.
Yeah. And, he put $100 on Facebook, and he's done that about 3 or 4 times, and he's generated 2-3 loans every time he does it. Yep. And I'll guarantee you this guy is on his way. He did 111 loans his first year in the business. He's with an iPhone, no media team. He is using Facebook intelligently, he's using some of the algorithms, and he's not investing thousands of dollars, but he's investing hundreds of dollars, and he's killing it. He's a modern loan officer. He uses Mortgage Coach. He uses a link for his app. He uses an iPhone intelligently. He's a modern loan officer. So I think, if you want to evolve into being those media companies that do mortgages, and the Gaylord Hanson team, I mean, they're a mortgage company first, but they've made a strategic decision that we're going to build media capabilities, and they're killing it. And by the way, I know a lot of companies and top producers that are pulling the trigger and investing in that strategy this year. But for all you new loan officers, you can kill it with an iPhone. Yeah, not an Android though. Androids don't work.
It's funny is we do roll out, certain tech things here and that. And I'm like, if you got a Droid, man, you're on your own. I can't help you. That's just a poor choice.
It's irritating. Like, you can't do the little voice message to them.
100%. Yeah, 100%. To get template text messages. All right, if you're an originator, you're texting the same thing to borrowers. Unfortunately, let's call it what it is. To get templates in Droid, it's a mess. So we've turned into a phone thing. But no, I agree with you. So we were very fortunate. We had a very you probably know Dan's son, Alec Hanson.
Yeah.
Alec, I think, and he was one of the, I think, the very first people that in this industry really grabbed a hold of it. And ironically, and this is why I paid attention to your modern originator. He developed an entire internal program called Modern Lending Playbook. And obviously Gaylord Hanson were part of putting it together, but around the country, we've had producers and leaders grab a hold of it. And you're right. Like, they don't need video teams to do it. They're organically and authentically doing it. And with a little bit of investment, like you said, in the social platforms, I mean, they've become community leaders. They're a known brand in their market. Huge impact, impact. And it's only going to get bigger.
And
with
Alec is a great example. I remember when he did that challenge of 100 videos in 100 days. At least I think it was 100 days. I don't know, but it was a lot.
dude.
And I was on one of them, and I literally, because he's with Loan Depot. I thought like he had a Loan Depot media team working around him. He's like, "No, Dave, it's just me," And he showed me this app. I can't remember the name of the app.
Blog Easy. I think he was hot on at that time, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what he's using now, but I mean, at the end of the day, you can do some crazy stuff with just an iPhone and a couple apps, and then yes, you can scale it from there. But you absolutely don't need to. But you do need to be on video, or I would just say you're not a modern loan officer. Like you could be a successful loan officer, doesn't mean you're a modern loan officer.
And there's still a window to stand out. It's funny. So I mean, I think most people know a bigger part of my job is recruiting, and in communication. It takes as long for me to send the text with my thumbs. I'm not a great typer, as it does for me to flip a camera on and actually deliver a video message saying, "Hey, thanks, Dave, for the conversation. That was fun," so on and so forth. And it blows me away that still when I send that video message, the response, "That was cool. That was awesome. That was neat." And all that's telling me is there's not enough people doing it. Like it is the window for you to separate yourselves and become that brand is still there. Because there are a lot of non-moderns, to put it nicely, that haven't picked up the video yet. And I agree 100%. All right, so mortgage coach. All right, so we've talked about you've got to add value to your sphere of influence, whether consumers, referral partners, your community. You've got to embrace technology. And really what Dave is also saying is change. You've got to be willing to not accept the norm and stretch yourself and learn new skills, but you've got to get into technology. And then you've got to get on video and you've got to be able to present your message authentically. Mortgage Coach does all of these. Can you talk about just at its foundation, because obviously you've got three, I think, core pillars. And if I'm missing one, let me know, Dave. You got total cost analysis, you got rate watch, and then you've got training, which is such a brand play on your part that I'll talk about in a little bit. Can you talk about the foundation of Mortgage Coach, and when an originator signs up to partner with Mortgage Coach, what's the experience that they're going to get, and what's the product?
Well, I think the problem that we really try to solve is that helping a family make the right mortgage decision, it's super important. And I think the industry has vastly underestimated how important it is to pick the right loan, and also the education that a family should get to make the right decision for them. The industry provides a fee worksheet, which is basically your rate, your payment, your cash to close. And that's a transaction. That's the details on a transaction. But for a family to make the best choice for themselves to achieve goals, they need more than that. First of all, they need options. I feel so passionately about it. I think it should be a compliance requirement that when a family gets into debt, they're required to get 3 options. That would be good for America. It'd be good for everybody. It's also a really good sales strategy. Like you give people options, they pick one, they own it. They shopped and they picked. And there's brain science that says like you will convert more. Now I'm glad it's not a compliance requirement, because I probably wouldn't have the same unique value in the market that we do.
Yeah.
I also think that when a family gets into debt, and it's not me, I don't think this is just common sense and financial planning rules, that you should always be looking at what's the cost over the time that you're likely to have it, and what are some strategies to get out of debt. Like that's just financial planning 101, you think you're going to have this, because APR is really not useful because it's for the life of the loan, and people don't have loans for 30 years, have loans for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years is a long time. So look at options, look at them over the cost of time. And then always like, what are some strategies to get out of debt? Should we prepay $100? And guys, that's what Mortgage Coach does. This is something that 20 years ago when I founded Mortgage Coach was something that the top loan officers did. We had a yellow sheet of paper. We had a HP 12C, and we nerded out on it, and I automated it. I put it into a really clean. Like when I founded Mortgage Coach, I wanted to make it so that my way of doing things, I could hire new people or bring in C players and turn them into B players. And I just wanted a platform to elevate, my company. And then it turned into something bigger than that. And today it is the advice platform for the mortgage industry.
Well, and to show the kind of the power of it, watch somebody try to buy a new car or a TV. A much smaller transaction, much less life-changing event. I mean, I'll see people just drawn, oh man, I don't know which car, I mean, what model and what this and that. People, when they are shopping, it doesn't matter, as confident as they are as human beings, they are hungry for guidance. They are hungry for a consultant to help guide them through the process to make a decision. And this is where total cost analysis comes in. Is you are that confident consulting voice, presenting what really is a complex transaction in a very simple way, and in a way that they're going to understand. As you had said, they're going to kind of own it. They're going to feel good about it. That's conversion. And like it or not, as a retail originator, your business is under attack. Like, how many of your borrowers come to you now with an offer in hand already? Like, it's happening more and more. If you can be the person leveraging a total cost analysis type approach to help your consumer go, you know what? Dave is the one who helped me really understand what my family wants, what our goals are, what our needs are, and guided me to this program. Dave's my guy. Huge. That's good. I mean, that right there is game changing, as you had said, in terms of conversion, but also word of mouth, right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, and I think that most loan officers, they don't know what they don't know, and it's like until they've actually given family advice. And I'm going to share my screen real quick, just because I think sometimes seeing it is understanding it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, tell me when you can see my screen.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it onto the stream now. And while you're bringing this up, Dave. Did I hear that there were 34% of the top 1% originators in the country use Mortgage Coach?
Yeah. We're really proud of the fact that 34% of loan officers that do over 100 loans a year use Mortgage Coach. And a stat I'm even more proud of is that, can you see my screen, by the way?
Yeah, I got it up.
So that's kind of the netting out Mortgage Coach. Instead of giving the fee worksheet that everybody does, we think this fee worksheet at Mortgage Coach creates confusion for a family because it doesn't answer all their questions. Yeah. And we absolutely believe that it's commoditizing the space. And if you're local referral-based loan officer, you don't want to commoditize what you do. So we just think there's a better way, and that's Mortgage Coach. But the stat I'm super proud of this year is that 1.7 million families got a total cost analysis, and those were viewed 5.5 million times. So we're really making traction on how we're changing what a mortgage experience is.
Okay, so 1.7 million unique total cost analysis, 5.5 million views, which tells you, A, they're actually using it as a research tool. They're sharing it with their friends and their referral partners and saying, look at this and what has been done. For a tool, by the way, that is not a mandatory tool, right? Like, this is not like a point of sale system that if you don't use this, if you don't use it, you can't do the mortgage. This is, I'm an originator. I am choosing to add this to my workflow because it is going to deliver more value to my consumers and my referral partners, increase my conversion, increase more repeat business. That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, and my experience with it is, again, I'm a recruiting guy, right? And so over here, I try to infuse technology into the recruiting platform that we have at Loan Depot. And but let's just say I haven't necessarily cracked the code of everyone fighting to add extra technology into their systems. I got to get a little bit better. So that's awesome, man. Kudos.
Well, that is the hard part. I mean, that is without question the biggest challenge we face at Mortgage Coach. It is adoption. Loan officers are like herding cats, and getting them to deliver a consistent experience it's a struggle. Getting them to adopt and learn a new way of doing things, even if it is better, is a struggle. I mean, you know what it's like. It's hard for us. I mean, there are habits and strategies I'm trying to change right now that I know will, like Vidyard. We rolled out Vidyard and we're adopting it well as a company. But I'm not creating as many Vidyard videos as I am setting standard for myself. Bomb. I create a lot of videos. I do text videos. I do all kinds of other videos. But learning, like, we know it's better, but learning to do a new way,
you'll love Vidyard, by the way. When you get into it, you'll love it. It has been the easiest thing.
I do love it. I'm just saying, I'm just not, I'm not creating 5 Vidyard videos a day, which is my personal goal.
Yeah. And the consistent behavior, to use your word, that's the key. Because when you can establish this consistently, you can then begin to leverage it with your relationships, right? Hey, realtors, this is what I'm going to do for you. Hey, financial advisors, builders, this is what I'm going to do for you. You can actually promise it and know you're going to live up to it, but it also enables you to scale, right? Going back to your leadership thing, like, hey, this is a key component of my job. This is what I do. This is what the Dave Savage franchise is going to offer our community. If you're on my team, you got to be part. You got to follow suit, and you got to learn how to do this. It allows you to teach, educate. And the other thing that I've at least learned is when you try to accomplish something consistently, you get better at it. You find alternative uses and solutions. Like, it becomes more powerful as you use it. If you just do it part-time, you never get further than surface level. But another thing, though, and I'm going to kind of tie 2 things. You had mentioned media and brand. So I got a couple buddies that, you probably do too. So Nike and Adidas, right? In their marketing and their digital marketing, and, the over the beer, outside by the fire, conversation, we geek out sometimes and just talk business. And I still remember one specific conversation where they were talking about influencer marketing, and Adidas would find some obscure artist that has like a small micro, audience, pay them, whatever it is, $1,000 to post something great about Adidas, and then they could track it. Now you're not paying people things like that, but you have used influencer marketing in this business. I mean, magically better than almost anybody, because what'd you just say earlier in this interview? I was talking to Jeremy Forcier today. Boom. Jeremy's got his own audience that you have now tapped into as the industry professional. You interviewed Sean, who I love. Anybody that's in Sean's ecosystem, boom, they really believe in it. The training side of it, is that a media play for you guys, or are you guys an actual training organization? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how far is Mortgage Coach going into the training side of it? Because I think there's a lesson for originators learning your influencer style that I want to talk about. But where is the training going? Because I looked at, like, again, that Mortgage Coach on the YouTube. It was insane. Are you guys pushing that as a pillar of what you do?
Yeah. So let's end on that, because I do think there's a whole loan officer strategy.
Yeah.
Let's kind of start from the product out. And I think, first of all, because we're, as you put it, a platform that is not a requirement to close a loan. Like, you have to have an LOS, you have to have a PPE, a product and pricing engine, you have to have a point of sale if your company has one, but you don't have to give them a total cost analysis. So that's a challenge. And our approach on that from a technology investment standpoint, I'm going to show my screen again, if you don't mind.
Fire away, man.
And then we'll close out. I'll get to the, how we leverage loan officers and why I make that. Like, I think one of the 3 most important things I do is CEO of Mortgage Coach, because I'm a mission-driven person. I mean, I want to change how people get into debt in America, not just have a lot of loan officers that use our product, but literally we changed. That will be the Mortgage Coach legacy, is we reshaped and changed how people get into debt. And that requires me to find the influencers, tell their stories in compelling ways, and do their strategies. So is my screen showing, by the way?
Not yet. Here we go. Got it.
Okay. So
there you go.
Okay. So this, well, first of all, just this is the consumer experience of Mortgage Coach. So this is what a borrower would see with a loan officer's brand, company brand, and this looks like it's VA options. So this is what it looks like from a consumer's perspective.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes of Mortgage Coach, we call this the advice engine. So a few things that we've implemented. One is gamification. So we've kind of figured out that loan officers are competitive. They don't like to be last on the leaderboard, and I think all humans want to be a black belt at something. Yeah. So we've gamified the idea of going from, hey, I'm a white belt fee worksheet loan officer to I'm a black belt advisor that gives people this total cost analysis. And we've everything from gamifying getting started, like, hey, is your headshot in here? Your logo, using APIs, are you consecutive logging in? So I think that's an important part of, call it, our adoption success. We consider, where people create the technology, we need to be able to stream video content in that and do training and do things like, let's say I was creating my first total cost analysis, I could have a training in here so I can learn how to do strategies. So we've really built gamification features and functions and learning management features and functions into the product. So I think that's part of our success story, is that we take a lot of responsibility that we need to create great content. We need to distribute it outside of our platform, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, where people are doing life. But we also need to put the right content at the right place at the right time for the user journey. Does that make sense?
100%. Well, and what you've also done is you've created this ecosystem to feed into that, meaning top originators who are putting significant thought in how to add value to their consumers and their communities. You're bringing them together, feeding into this black belt process. And what's happening is Mortgage Coach is becoming richer, total cost analysis, usage of it. But the originators that partner with Mortgage Coach become better just simply because of the team environment that you're pulling them into. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, let me just kind of finish our side of the story, because there's two communities we build. One, there's the other, you call them partners, platform, products. We, for years we've been building out this partner network. So go to our website and you can see, I'm pretty proud of the fact that I think we have, if not the biggest partner network, one of the biggest partner networks of other technology companies that integrate into our product. And then we also make our integrations and our APIs available to lenders that have partnerships with us. So that's a super important community that we're building. And then you've mentioned a number of times our YouTube channel, which that has been a personal passion of mine for over a decade now, where if I'm going to change how loan officers act and how they give advice to families, I need to change how they think.
No.
And I can't change how they think, but you know what? Josh Metal can. You know what? Shant can. JJ Mazzo can. And so Jeremy Forcier can. Denise Donahue can. Dan Keller, Kelly Zillow. So we've just over the years had some of the most successful people in the history of this business that use our product. Yeah. And then I interview those people. We create content around their stories and their strategies, but we got to also put it into the product. You got to also put it in the platform. So it's on social media, but it's also in our platform. So those are some high level,
The integration is good too, because they're strong because originators are not just stopping with one thing. They right now are exploring, right? These are pioneers. They are looking for new ways to serve their community. And as they do that, they're going to find the HomeBots of the world, and they're going to find the Vidyards of the world. And the fact that you're bringing these together is allowing the Mortgage Coach ecosystem, frankly, to be connected, and it not being this hodgepodge of tech. It's all kind of under one umbrella. That's huge. Do you mind talking about the Rate Watch component? Just because I don't hear you get asked about that a lot. What Where does Rate Watch fall in?
Yeah. So, I mean, our whole thesis is that we want loan officers that are mortgage coaches to be the smartest and to look the smartest. And so, sharing my desktop. Well, let me see if this shows up. Oh yeah, you can see that on camera. So that is today in the market on my mobile phone, and it's green. Green is good. That means rates got better today.
Yeah.
One of the most popular features in Rate Watch is the day watch. So,
yeah,
it's mobile friendly. Green means rates got better today. Those are all the shifts in rates. So we think, loan officers that want to be smart on interest rates, our Rate Watch app, just download, go to ratewatch.com. And then the foundation is the advice engine, the total cost, the rep versus loan. I'm going to share my screen one more time.
Please.
Because as important as I think it is to know what's up with rates, I think people, can you see my screen?
Yep, we got it.
Yeah. You need to be a debt advisor. So one of the newest upgrades, we upgraded our debt consolidation analysis so that not only can a loan officer compare, different mortgage options, auto, credit card, student loans, you can really analyze that short-term and long-term for a family. So think of it like this: Rate Watch is to watch in a mobile optimized way what's happening with interest rates, so that you can be the smartest loan officer when it comes to talking about rates. Yeah. And then our advice engine is so that you can present mortgage strategies and mortgage options in the most intelligent way possible. Be smart.
And couple that with connecting originators to the best and brightest minds in our industry. And you're really, if somebody partners with Mortgage Coach, you're really truly changing the way that they can be an advisor and a consultant and adding value to their market.
If they tune in. Yeah.
If they tune in. Yeah.
They got to watch the video. They got to show up for the training. Which that's a whole nother science of how to get people to tune in.
Showing up, man. I'll tell you what, that's about 80% of the formula, for success.
Oh my gosh. It so is. I mean, I've rolled out Mortgage Coach now with over 120 different lenders, and it's different. I've rolled out and literally had less than 10% of their loan officers show up for the training. I've rolled out and had 100%, 110%. You're like, who are these other people?
And your three legs. Leadership is one of them, right? Yeah. And leadership, understanding and making sure that they vision cast their originators. Hey, look, I'm not going to make you do this, but you better darn well pay attention to it because it's working, right? 34%.
Show up for the rollout event,
Yeah.
Or watch the video.
So, Dave, hey, thank you, man. I'm not a natural podcaster, so did I miss anything? Did I forget to ask? Are there any components?
You know what? You know why you're so good is because you are so curious. You love to learn, and it just shows up. And I think you and I could nerd out and talk about what's happening in the mortgage industry for hours on end. But no, I thought this was a great conversation, and you're awesome. I can't tell that you're new at this.
No, well, thank you, man. I appreciate it, and I will. I'll grab the recording. I'll send it to you if there's any value and you clipping anything out. And I'll probably distribute this actually to big population of people I know. So Dave, honestly, thank you, man. I appreciate you doing this. And for everybody, Dave, and I'll grab these and I'll actually put them in my communications. But you'd mentioned that you're on Instagram, Twitter. Can they just type Dave Savage Twitter and find you, or do you want to real quick list off your handles?
We have a Twitter account. I'm not that intentional. Our best channels are YouTube, Mortgage Coach on YouTube. Okay. Our Facebook group, Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind, is it's an incredible Facebook group. It's a good use of Facebook. There's a lot of bad uses of Facebook in the world.
Yeah.
This is a good use of Facebook. And then I'm most active on LinkedIn. I try to post there daily and be part of something good in the world, share something that's useful. And those are my main places to do business. But I am an Instagrammer. I think I started using Instagram 2 weeks after it was founded, and I was like jealous. I didn't think of it because I'm a photographer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's such a simple thing. I'm so bad. My wife is amazing at it. I don't think naturally of it. But the simplicity of it is just phenomenal. And they've been able to kind of keep it above the board, even though there's more ads in it nowadays. It's a hell of a platform. But all right, well then, thank you guys. Make sure you find Dave at these platforms. Have a great day. Dave, I'm going to end the live section, but hang for just a second if you don't mind. But thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye.